Hello, ni hao, bonjour, konnichiwa, hola, habari, mulishani, and wagwan. Welcome to Beyond Borders podcast. If you're new here, I'm your host, Dr. Charity Campbell Capella, known in the travel space as Doctora the Explorer, but mostly known as Dr. CK. Here at Beyond Borders, I share transformative travel experiences and cultural insights and help you see that cultural intelligence touches every part of our lives. Today, we're continuing our newest series about how traveling abroad cultivated my cultural intelligence in ways that my formal education never could. Now, if you recall, the majority of these lessons and skills were developed since I graduated with a doctorate, not before. Now, if you're new here at Beyond Borders podcast, I want to thank you for joining me today as we go on to part 2 of our 8-week mini-series. In this episode, we're talking about the ability to solve problems. And most times these issues need immediate solutions that you may not have even prepared for. Now, traveling has a way of throwing unexpected obstacles your way, forcing you to think on your feet and find creative solutions. From navigating transportation hiccups to managing limited resources, every trip presents unique challenges that help you develop resourcefulness and quick thinking. So, whether you're planning your first solo trip to Southeast Asia or preparing for a sabbatical in Europe, this episode is for you. So go ahead, grab your favorite travel mug, get comfy, okay? Make sure you have your chai latte if that's what you're drinking today, and let's talk about it as we go beyond borders. Now, I know firsthand how travel has a remarkable way of sharpening our problem-solving abilities. Whether you're a seasoned solo adventurer or just starting to explore the world, every trip you take will present unique challenges that push you to think creatively and adapt on the fly. I remember when, back in 2017, I flash packed through Europe. And I traveled to 12 countries, 14 cities. And by it being my first time in Europe and my first time flash packing, which is basically a more sophisticated and savvier way of backpacking, right? It's like backpacking with a bit of luxury. I encountered so many unexpected issues. One of the main ones, and I still kick myself to this day about it, was Italy. So I met up with a friend back, my goodness, she's also an entrepreneur. We had met online in one of these, Facebook groups. And so we were supporting each other's work, and she was already living in Italy. And so by me, saying, hey, I'm going to trek through Europe, I said, hey, I'm going to stop by and, see you in person. Let's meet in person, which we did. We met in a little town outside of Rome. And I took a train ride to Italy, and this was on my way to Rome. But before I did that, so I had, we stopped, we ate, I had Italian pizza. Y'all, let me tell you something. Okay. The pizza in Italy, it is so good. Not so much focus on the food, but the conversation and the fact that we were finally meeting in person. It was all very exciting. And so after leaving her, I went on to my hostel. And let me tell you, okay, Europe has, I think, probably the best hostels. Maybe they've been in the hostel game much, much longer than some of the other places in the world. But I can tell you now, I no longer do hostels. I stopped in 2018. Okay. I had about a little less than a year of hostels, and I was hosteled out. Okay. So this hostel, and this was probably my first mistake. This hostel that I booked, and I booked it for budgetary reasons, okay? Meaning it was cheap. So I booked it, but y'all, where it was out in the middle of nowhere. And trust me, when I say it was in the middle of nowhere, I mean that, and it went up like this hill. It was so freaky. And so I ended up staying there. And when it was time for me to leave, because the next place that I was going to Rome so I could fly from Rome back to Spain. So I was, I said, okay, let me spend a day in Rome. Let's make a day of it. I'll go to the Colosseum. I'll go see like all of these beautiful landmarks and everything. So I'm all packed up. I got everything on my back. Okay. So it was flashbacking, but I had a backpack. I had 2 backpacks, as a matter of fact, connected to each other. So here I am. And for some reason, my phone wasn't fully charged. So I'm walking down this hill and I'm like, it's no problem. I'll be able to catch a taxi. It's fine. I get down to what in that little village is considered a main road, and there's like no taxis. And I mean, nothing passing by for a while. So after I'm just standing there for a while, I'm like, well, why don't I use my GPS to show me where the train station is? So that way, I can start walking in the direction, right? And just catch a taxi along the way. So here I am in this hot weather. I mean, if I can find the picture, y'all, I looked a hot mess. If I can find the picture, I will include it in tomorrow's article recap, okay? So I looked a hot mess. I mean, I was hot. I was sweaty. I had like 50 pounds of things on my back, and my phone was dying. Here I am out in the middle of nowhere in Italy, and my phone is dying. And I'm telling you, I saw no civilization. There were no shops. There were no cafes. It was just road and trees. And the first thing that came to my mind was, negative self-talk, that inner critic, beating myself up, and then also just saying like, oh, this was just the smartest thing to do because here you are. Why didn't you pick a place to stay that was a bit closer to, just all of these things, right? So here we go. Long story short, I think it took maybe about 2 or 3 hours before a taxi ever came. I don't even know if I was going in the right direction because when I finally got into a taxi, I do remember this. Thank you, Lord. It's coming back to my memory. I do remember that when I finally got into a taxi, it was a nice Italian man who knew broken English. He knew enough to communicate with me. And when I tell you that the way he took to take me to the train station, y'all, we were up in mountains going through curves. I'm telling you, I would have never made it walking. My phone was on life support. So at some point, I finally, had my phone charged a little bit. Enough to do all the stuff that I needed to do to board the train, to get to Rome, get off the train, and to go into the direction of the Colosseum. I had just enough battery once I got to the Colosseum to go live. I at that point, for some reason, I think because I wanted people to be with me, and also it was my way of letting people know that I was alive. I did Facebook Live for all of these. And so we were at the Colosseum, and this man's beautiful voice, he sounded like a Disney character singing. I'm telling you, it was amazing. I was able to get some, live footage of him doing that. And of course, my phone died. Before I could start taking beautiful pictures of me at the Colosseum, it just ruined my whole trip. I was like, oh my gosh, if you don't take a picture of it, it didn't happen. So here I was, thankfully I still had that grainy Facebook Live video that showed me there. But other than that, I didn't get a chance to take all the photos and things that I wanted to. So at some point later on, I think I had to go to a cafe, and I charged up my phone a little bit, made my way to the airport, and then I charged it up some more. And then after that, so here's the flight. So that was the Italy debacle. Yeah. After that, my phone died in Rome at the Colosseum, right? After that, I meet this. He was a fellow American who told me that, he had moved to Italy with his partner because being in Europe was, but I mean, we had like this real, what I thought was a heart to heart, like dude that became my new bestie. Okay. And then when we get to Spain, he steals my phone. It was a brand new Samsung 8 at the time. They were hot. I'm telling you, the pictures were so fire. And we were even I was showing him pictures. This is the dumbest thing. Don't do this. Okay. I was showing him pictures, saying, oh man, look. And he was like, oh my God, the quality of this is just amazing. And me, so happy about it. I'm like, yeah, I love it. That joker stole my phone, had me stranded in the Madrid airport for a few hours before I could get my backup phone. That's another thing. I always have a backup, y'all. Before I could get my backup phone charged and a new SIM put in. Y'all, it was just, So as you can see, and all of this has happened to me while traveling solo, right? So as a seasoned solo female traveler who has explored over 30 countries, I can attest that navigating the world has honed my problem-solving abilities and also taught me so many lessons of what not to do, like how not to create problems in ways that I never could have imagined. So, whether it's overcoming language barriers, managing transportation hiccups, or safeguarding my health and safety, travel has transformed me into a quick thinking, adaptable problem solver. So really quickly, I want to share my 10 problem solving skills that travel has sharpened for this independent, globally minded woman like yourself. Problem number 1, language barriers. Nothing tests your creativity like trying to communicate without words. Overcoming language obstacles on the road requires finding alternative ways to convey your message sometimes you might feel like you're playing charades to using translation apps. I rely so heavily on translation apps if I cannot communicate in the native language. And this process builds your cross-cultural communication skills, and it also boosts your confidence in connecting with people from all walks of life because you feel like you're able to communicate with them even if you're not able to verbally speak their native tongue. The second one is transportation hiccups. Which you have heard my personal story, and that's only like an instance. There are several. There have been several over the years, but like misconnections, canceled flights, or that time that my return flight was canceled. My return flight to China actually was canceled while I was in Kenya due to COVID. Listen. These situations force you to get resourceful because instead of being able to go back to my home in China, when I was in Kenya, I decided, you know what? I'm here in Africa. I don't know when's the next time I will be here. This is in 2020 before I met my husband and moved to Africa. Okay. But I don't know when's the next time I will be here. So instead of just going back straight to the States, let's do a mini tour of Africa and find different countries to go to. And that's exactly what I did. And then I went to the States before being able to go back to China the next year due to the pandemic. Now, as a savvy traveler, you always have a plan B. I know you do, but you should always have a plan C or even D just in case. Okay? And you need to make sure you have these for getting to your destination. Adaptability, which is what we talked about in last week's episode. It is key when transportation doesn't go as planned. And this mindset that we can build and cultivate translates seamlessly to the professional world. Now, the third thing is cultural differences. Navigating unfamiliar social norms and customs require that adaptability, but also quick thinking. Okay? That moment when you realize that tipping is considered offensive in China, that was me. It was my first week there, and I was I didn't understand. Y'all, I'm telling you, I was so green. I did not understand the cultural norm of not receiving a tip. And here I was thinking that maybe the man was just a little shy or embarrassed, and I was trying to force him to take the tip. It wasn't until my friend who was already living there, she had became my friend. We were coworkers, and she told me, she said, it's actually seen as offensive. And I felt so ignorant. I mean, I felt like I had egg on my face. I felt so bad because here I was trying to force somebody to take a tip because I appreciated the work that they did, not realizing that what I felt like should happen, what I felt like was an act of kindness, was actually offending someone. So, I had to learn how to pivot real quick. Observing and respecting cultural nuances builds your cross-cultural competence. And I had lacked that. Now I don't, right? Now I'm more of an effective communicator and collaborator, but also a better global citizen because now instead of trying to force someone to do something based off of what I perceive is right, I have to consider the cultural differences. I have to consider the cultural norms and then abide by those. The fourth thing is limited resources. So whether it's rationing your last few euros like I had to do in 2017, or making do with a minimalist capsule wardrobe, which I absolutely love having a capsule wardrobe, travel teaches you to be inventive with what you have. Scarcity encourages creative problem solving and resourcefulness. These are skills that serve you well in any high pressure, resource constrained environment. Now, number 5, we have unexpected closures. Y'all, you planning to go to a museum and you go to find out that it's closed on Monday or it's closed due to a holiday, or you go to my favorite restaurant in China, shut down. I mean, it was gone after the pandemic. And I came back ready to go and eat one of those juicy burgers, and it was gone. Listen, it's time to flex those spontaneity muscles and discover hidden gems off the beaten path. Ask somebody else, do you know if there's another museum, or do you know when this one will be open again? Or in my case, please give me some good recommendations for a new burger joint because mine is gone. Okay. It broke my heart. It's gone. I need something new. But being able to overcome disruptions reveals our ability to think on our feet. It's a valuable asset in the ever-changing landscape that we have in both our personal and professional lives. Number 6, tech failures. Now, when your phone dies, like mine did, or Wi-Fi is non-existent, nowhere to be found, walking down the village roadside, countryside, you'll be amazed at how quickly you can problem solve using some good old-fashioned human interaction and paper maps. Okay, that's a plan B or C. Have some paper maps just in case. Your Apple Maps or Google Maps or Waze or whatever you're choosing to use they're inaccessible. Adapting to technological challenges builds our resilience, and it can help you stay calm and focused when our digital tools that we rely on let us down. Number 7 is health issues. Now, being able to find a pharmacy in a foreign country isn't as challenging as you would think it is thanks to technology. But what about being able to explain your symptoms without sharing a common language? Travel can hone your ability to manage health concerns creatively. Of course, still doing it in a safe manner. Safeguarding your well-being on the road sharpens your critical thinking skills, which you can apply to problem solving in any context. For me, thankfully, I had a very healthy pregnancy, but here I was in Zambia. We had just come back from Zimbabwe, and here I was in Zambia, where my husband is from. And I was like, I think I'm pregnant, but I don't know. And I really want to go get a test. And so my husband's like, well, we can go to the clinic. That's where their hospital is. We can go to the clinic. And so I went and I looked and I was like, it's too many people here. I mean, literally, the wait was hours to be seen by anybody. So I went to do a search online, couldn't find anything really. And so we just had to get creative. And we ended up coming across this private facility that could do the pregnancy test for us. And even though it wasn't free like the hospital clinic, one, there was literally nobody in there, okay? Because it cost. It was nobody in there, but it wasn't that expensive. I think it maybe had come up to about $30 US, which was, in my opinion, was pretty good for what they were going to do since it was so early on. But making sure, even when we moved to Namibia, finding facilities that could help me during this prenatal process. When we were in South Africa, the same thing. So, these types of critical thinking skills and having to think quickly on your feet, I would say that they are extremely valuable, not just in, your personal life, but definitely in your professional life. Number 8, budget constraints. Stretching your dollars, or your RMB if you're in China, or your rand if you're in South Africa, whatever you have, stretching those dollars encourages innovative thinking about accommodations, meals, and experiences. Navigating financial limitations fosters financial literacy and out-of-the-box problem-solving abilities, which are, like we've said before, invaluable assets in both your personal and professional life. Now, if you are loving this episode so far, because we're coming down to the end, I would love for you to hit that like button. Also, subscribe to the Beyond Borders podcast if you haven't done so, and share this podcast episode, because I am sure that there is somebody you are connected to who would probably benefit from this episode. So I thank you in advance for doing that. All right, let's move on to number 9, time management. Balancing work responsibilities with exploration is not impossible. You absolutely can do it. In fact, you'll become a master at maximizing every moment, every minute, and finding unique workspaces. Whether you're juggling priorities that build your time management expertise, like for me, having to be a hybrid teacher. I started off teaching in China, and then when I left, I thought I wouldn't have my university job anymore. But my students loved my class so much that the administration said, "Would you like to continue teaching online?" What? Would I? Of course. So now, making sure that wherever I go, I have the tech tools and I have Wi-Fi and I have everything that I need to be able to do my job as a professor, the right way. I need to do my job effectively. And that also means time. China, right now, I'm in the States, and China is 12 hours ahead of us. And when we have daylight savings time, it'll be 13 hours ahead of us. I have to manage my time properly because I teach at night now, because I'm teaching on China time. So here in the States, I have to manage my time throughout the day. I got to take care of our son. I got to make sure that he is in bed. My first class is at 8:30 p.m., which is 8:30 a.m. China time. I have to make sure that my son is in bed by 7:30, knocked out. So this is learning how to manage my time effectively, now as a mom, after having done it for so long as a solo traveler. And so, like I said, it can help staying organized, being productive, no matter how hectic things get. It is a skill that travel hones within you. And the last one, number 10, is safety concerns. Now, as a solo female traveler, you often need to think quickly about personal safety. This heightened awareness translates into sharp decision-making skills. Prioritizing safety on the road enhances your situational awareness and your quick thinking abilities, which definitely serve you well in any high-stakes scenario. Now, I need you to remember that each challenge you overcome while traveling, it builds your confidence and your cultural competence, and it also expands your problem-solving toolkit. These skills don't just make you a savvier traveler. They enhance your professional life too. You and your work definitely will appreciate your newfound abilities to navigate complex cross-cultural negotiations or simply think creatively under pressure. Now, the problem-solving skills that you develop through travel are truly priceless. You hear me? It's priceless. As a global citizen and a lifelong learner, you're already well on your way to becoming a masterful problem solver, equipped to tackle any challenge that comes your way. So keep exploring, keep learning, and watch your problem-solving prowess soar to new heights. Listen, I want to thank you for listening to Beyond Borders podcast. I can't express my gratitude enough. It humbles me to know that you tune in every week to learn from me. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Beyond Borders podcast, download today's episode, rate, comment, and share so we can ignite a cultural revolution all across the globe. I also invite you to connect with me on YouTube, Pinterest, and my newest adventure, Substack. Let me know what kind of cultural insights and travel experiences you'd like to see more of. Also, if you have any questions or would like to be a guest on the show, please email me at charity@doctortheexplorer.com and someone will respond in a timely manner. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, remember to keep your mind open and your suitcase ready. See you in the next episode as we go Beyond Borders.